Hey guys, welcome to the MVP Coaches Corner where Bro Logic goes to die, covering nutrition, contest prep, PEDs, personal experiences, coaching, and just living in the bodybuilding industry. Today, we're going to kind of cover macros versus meal plans. Just from being a coach, I always have people who kind of prefer one over the other. I personally prefer meal plans. How about you guys?
I
Meal
prefer
plans.
meal plan.
Yeah. And like the way I look at it is that it's kind of just taking the guesswork away from me. Because like I don't want to have to think of something new each and every day.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I don't feel like going into Chronometer or My Fitness Pal and trying to figure out what I wanted to eat.
Yeah.
I'd rather just have it written out for me and it's done.
Yeah. And I feel so much more prepared in my day. I already know what I'm doing. I have all my meals ready. I don't have to guess.
Mhm.
That's what I like.
Yeah, just from a timing perspective, like I don't want to spend because I just look at imagine like if I didn't actually have a meal plan, like okay, like here's 10 minutes with each meal trying to calculate what it's going to be or what I need to make.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, and that's 10 minutes times by however many times a day you eat. That's
Yeah.
70 minutes. That's 70 minutes for me a day. I'm not giving it an hour and 10 minutes just to calculate what I want to eat.
Too much.
Yeah, convenience is king. I just feel like from a convenience perspective, just working with a meal plan has always been just easier for me because like I'm a planner. Like I like to have it like all cooked, weighed out. It's in the fridge. I can just literally just grab and go. Um, I think the biggest barrier to entry for most people is just time when it comes to being adherent to a plan, and I feel like that encroaches on the timing part.
All right. I was
Yeah.
actually going to say that it makes it so much easier for people to stay on track if they have it all laid out for themselves already.
Yeah, especially with people that struggle with time management. Like that's a
Because so many
huge
people,
factor.
because there's so many people who aren't used to eating frequent enough throughout the day. So like when it comes to eating like six, seven times a day, they already can't kind of like time manage that. Now you're including a whole other activity that's going to take up time.
Right. And then they're like rushing at the end of the day, trying to just squeeze in calories then, and they're not really looking at the micronutrients even or
Hmm.
per se or the um yeah micro macro so
Exactly. Exactly. So like obviously like each one has their pro and their con, right? So like let's kind of look at like meal plans first. So like the biggest pro like I think of is that like there are no extra variables, right? Your coach knows exactly and you know exactly what food you're eating each and every day.
Mhm.
So if you're having an issue with anything, you can kind of look back at your meal plan and kind of like add to or take away if you're having an issue with anything. This was actually something pretty recent. We had a question from one of our clients who also coaches. That he was
Hmm.
having a client of having some digestive issues. And I was like, all right, cool. Like, what does a meal plan look like? But the issue was that it was a macro based meal plan. So
Yeah,
the
there's no structure
person,
to it.
yeah, so the person was eating different stuff almost daily. So it's hard to determine what's the thing adding to this digestive issue. Is it possibly the combo of the foods for a meal? Is it the actual food choices, how the foods are prepared? Is it high FODMAP versus low FODMAP food choices? So like things like that. Like that's the thing. The biggest pro I think of a meal plan is, hey, if there's any issues, I can instantly kind of isolate where it is.
Mitigate it.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I feel bloated after my pre-workout meal each day. Well, maybe it's just the pre-workout meal. What's in that? Okay. And we've had this before with clients.
Literally happened today.
Yeah. All right, well, your pre-workout meal is cream of rice and whey. So cream of rice is hypoallergenic, so I highly doubt it's the cream of rice. So it's probably the whey. Let's kind of look at what we could do with the whey. Can we move to a plant-based protein? Maybe they'll use it in like a lower quality whey, like a whey concentrate that had all the lactose in it,
Fillers
and
and
you move
stuff
them
like
to like a
that.
hydrolysis state or something like that, where there's no lactose, and they'd be in a better situation. So I would say like that's the biggest pro I think of. How about you guys?
I think the simplicity of it is probably the biggest thing. It takes away like a whole thinking process that you don't need. What does it take? 40 minutes to meal prep everything for a week? I think it's like
Yeah.
40 minutes for me. It takes me 40 minutes to, well, it takes me 40 minutes to cook enough chicken for like 3 days. which is, I think that's the extent I can get out of it
Mhm.
with cooking it like a 20-pound bag. It's like 3 days. That's it. That's all I'm getting.
Yeah.
And then rice, it's like 30 minutes, not that hard. Cream of
Mhm.
rice I can make on the go. It takes 3 minutes and 30 seconds after I boil water, which probably takes another 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And I can do that I can do that every morning. 5 minutes every morning is not going to kill me.
Yeah. And like you're someone who chooses to do the more difficult way too. Like someone has chosen the
Oh
microwave.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I just microwave. It takes like 2 minutes.
yeah, 2 minutes, you're done.
Oh,
Boom.
I spend 40 minutes on my meal one every morning. I put that thing in the oven and everything like that.
Oh, I know you
Yes.
you enjoy it, and that's the thing, right? Like if you choose to, you have the ability to, right? Like put that much
Yeah,
effort
I do it.
into it.
I do that, and then I go do my fasted cardio. And by the time I'm doing my fasted cardio, I'm walking upstairs and it's already done. And then I'm
Yeah.
drinking my greens at the same time as I'm doing fasted cardio. So there's two birds, well, three killed in one shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Simple.
agree. Simple, and you know what's going in to my body. I know what's going into it, and we're all on the same page, and we can make adjustments from there.
Yeah. And like another cool thing is that like when it goes to like food choices, right? Like talk about like complex and simple carbs, like how they hold someone over from a satiation perspective, or even like let's just say like someone's always hungry after their last meal, right? Like instead of just adding more macros to that meal, we could just probably change what the food sources are in that meal to hold someone over more.
Mhm.
Like let's just say if they had enough protein and fats with that meal, you could make it like a red meat, right? Because like you'll digest slower, it would feel more satiated from the fats in it. If they do have carbs with that meal, maybe we could use like a potato instead.
Hmm.
Just because the minerals in the potato will make you feel more satiated.
Mhm.
So like there's little things you can do like that to improve an experience compared to like, oh, here's my macros for this meal. I can kind of pick and choose what I want to fit this, but I don't have the knowledge on what I could actually do to make that meal better for me, right? Like, cause like I just know I'm hungry afterwards. If I knew the proper things to eat, possibly I could be I would be more satiated after that meal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why even like when we have done macros in the past, we've given
Mhm.
like a list of like
Yeah.
foods that they can use and like keep it simple, but for the most part, they're gonna end up just going back to doing exactly what's on a meal plan anyways. It's just gonna be some things that they like a little bit more.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Which all you have to do at that point is just communicate. Like, this is what I like more. Like, okay, we could definitely probably make that swap. Like, it might just hinder a tiny bit of progress, but if it's gonna help you mentally, like, fun with
Yeah.
it. Depending on what part you're at. Like, if you're in prep compared to versus you're in off season, I think it makes that's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Definitely cannot do macros in a prep.
Yeah.
I
No.
feel like that's not does not work.
So since we talked about so many pros to meal prepping and having a meal plan, I feel like it's only fair to try and talk about the pros of macros, and then but for me personally, I feel like, well, one, what Coleman just said, you really can't or shouldn't do macros in a prep. I feel like there's so many variables that it would just fall apart, and you're not going to bring your best package. But that's just my opinion.
Mhm. Yeah. So it comes to like the positives of like the macros. I think the big thing is adherence, right? So like if let's say someone does have the time, right? Does have the time to go on MyFitnessPal for every single meal, and they have the discipline to do that. If their biggest issue with diets in the past was them being restrictive, then like a macro based diet may be better for those people. And so for some of my Gen Pop people, I've totally done macro based plans with. Again, gave them kind of like a food list of things they could use, but something maybe a little more broad than what we give for a lot of our other people. But especially if they had again issues with just plans being restrictive, so they pretty much didn't follow them at all because they were too difficult. That kind of gave them the sovereignty. They kind of make some tweaks on their own. And actually, I feel like in some cases, actually made people fall in love with cooking, which is like again a very high leverage skill in general. Because
Oh
okay,
yeah.
cool, if I can make my food interesting, because like I can use like shrimp and cilantro in my rice today compared to chicken. like that makes me feel better mentally because it's different than my previous meal. Or like, hey, like my kids, I'm making ground beef for my kids, but maybe I can't fit so I make meatloaf for the kids, and I can't maybe fit meatloaf in my macros because everything else I'm adding to it. But maybe I can do like ground beef and have the same sides as them, so I feel like I'm eating as a family, right? I feel like there's a lot of added benefits to that for those type of clients, though.
Right.
Yeah, for the ones that like have like the disconnect,
Yeah,
like
and like
the issue disconnecting rather.
yeah, because like I'll put it this way. So for example, like all of us, we look at food as so much more of like an input, right? Like a fuel source compared to like people who don't compete or don't live this lifestyle. I feel like in a lot of cases, it's a time for you to bond with your family, right? Like especially like how a family would. They typically probably only sit down and eat one meal together because people leave early in the morning, they're away for lunch, so like dinner they all have together as a family.
Mhm.
So like they want to be able to eat with the people that they love. So like at least having that meal macro based for people like that, again, will increase adherence compared to saying fuck it, the family had pizza, so I'm gonna have pizza.
All right.
Yeah, I think that's probably like the biggest advantage from it. It just the flexibility of to be able to kind of play with things. But like that also means that doesn't mean like hey like my macros for this meal are 20 grams of protein. I'm gonna get 20 grams of protein from my pizza, right? Like that's not
It doesn't
doesn't
work.
make the same, right? Like the gluten protein found in the pizza is not super beneficial.
Like
The
it's like
protein
1 gram per slice of pizza. So you're
and
eating
like
20 slices of pizza.
and then like the amino acid profile found in like cheese isn't going to be the same as found in like an animal meat product. So like there's the macros may be the same, but like the food quality is not the same.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
And that's when you typically run into like GI issues with stuff like that.
Yeah,
Because no foods are always created equally.
exactly.
Especially when even if their macros line up 100%, they're not the same.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Unless they're literally the exact same thing. Like a potato is a potato. You can't get much around that.
yeah, no.
So from here, do you want to explain high FOD foods versus low?
Yeah. So when it goes to this high FOD, so there's something called a FODMAP, and the FODMAP is a mapping system that gastroenterologists created to help with people who have things like Crohn's disease. Now, a higher FODMAP food is in essence, a food that causes lots of gastrointestinal inflammation when this demographic of people eat it. So things are found that are high FODMAP are actually a lot of like the very common bodybuilding vegetables, like broccoli is a very common one, asparagus being another one, and there's so many other ones. So like when it comes to like picking vegetable choices, especially with our clients, we recommend them using like low FODMAP choices, which would be things like green beans, or it would be like spinach,
Carrots.
it'd be like bok choy, it'd be like carrots, it'd be like green peppers, things like this.
Red peppers, not green. Red peppers.
Red peppers, um,
Gotta get that
and
one right. Learn the hard way. I learned the hard way.
because they digest a little easier, they cause less gastrointestinal distress with that demographic of people. Um, and so like that's one of the other reasons why I do like meal plans, right? Because if you don't know granted, like I don't specify which vegetable for my clients to eat. I just recommend them using low FODMAP vegetables. But if they pick a different vegetable every single day, and as I say, they're just doing it to fit their macros, and you don't know which ones they're eating, you could be changing a lot of other variables, hoping they're going to fix their bloating or fixing their constipation. And the issue is, in reality, a variable is not even taken into consideration, which is the kind of vegetable being utilized.
Yeah.
And we've seen this a lot with people, especially like broccoli being like one of the most common ones that
All
people
the
often
time.
use. Yeah.
Yeah. When I
Because
Guilty. I did it. Guilty. I did it for years. I still like broccoli to this day.
me too. I enjoy
But
tasting.
I do not eat it at all. I have not eaten it in 2 years though.
you know, In my plan, it's literally
Even
not broccoli, not broccoli, not broccoli.
like
Yeah.
yeah, we had to do that at one point for like everyone. Because at one point we didn't ask them what they were having for vegetables, and then like one person posted on the story, and then another one, and another one, and it was just like a list, and it was just like, okay, we got to change this.
Yeah.
We should probably write that from now on.
Yeah, and it's the funny thing is that like what's their stereotypical like meal, right? Chicken, rice, and broccoli, right? That's what people say, right? And just I don't know how that became the staple vegetable. I don't know how. Maybe just one of the cheapest ones you can buy in the frozen food section. But yeah, no, it was just and same thing when I was in college too. Before I knew any better, and I was always confused why I was so bloated all the time. But this made sense. Fucking broccoli. So like cool. So the other thing we didn't get touched on yet, real plans for contest prep. So the one thing when it comes about contest prep, so like how each person reacts to different foods is one that like I like to always think about. Because like me and my buddy Bruce Brower, both worked with Dom Cardone for a long time together. And we've literally been in the same house while being peaked. And just look at each other's meal plans and being like, what did you get? What did you get? And it was always so interesting, like how different my body reacted to foods in his body. Like for example, like when it came to like filling me out, like I always got like sweet potatoes and shit. While Bruce got fucking muffins.
Dirty
But
food, dirty food.
exactly. Our bodies were just very, very different. So when it comes to like doing things like obviously like macros, a lot of coaches that do macros for contest preps do get stricter and stricter with them as the show gets closer. So some of the ones I personally know who do that, they'll actually give them a limited list. So your carbs can be these three choices, or your proteins can be these three choices. So it's still macro based, but like at least you kind of have a variable of what the macros are going to be. It's not like they're trying to fit Quest bars in to hit their protein goal, right?
Quest bars,
But
metric bars, Len and Larry cookies.
yeah, it's not like they're doing that. But when it comes to meal plans, when it comes to contest prep, I again going back to variables. I just like knowing all the variables. I like knowing there's no outside variable. If there's anything that's being thrown off when it comes to, again, like for example, like enhanced users, like if the fasted glucose is a little different in the morning, is that due to food choices? Is that due to stress? Is that due to poor sleep quality? Or again, is it just the food choice, right? So like things like that. If I know what they're actually eating for their carb source, I can kind of understand what to add to take away, and that, again, why I think a meal plan is superior when it comes to things like that. Digestion, again, being one of the big ones. Satiation, if someone's starving all the time during their prep, and they could be using things like protein powder to hit their protein goals compared to using like animal meats. Or if they're using like just strictly using like peanut butters to hit their fat goals, and they're not using some fattier meat options to hit their goals. And again, things like that together make a whole entire difference. And unless that specific client is informed on how to do those things, they don't really have the knowledge to how to make things easier on themselves.
Yeah, especially when it comes to like satiation and stuff like that during prep.
Yeah, like Grant, we're all gonna be hungry.
Yeah.
I made big ass salads. I just would stop cooking my spinach and I would eat raw spinach instead. 100 grams of raw spinach, like twice, worked great.
It's a big fucking salad.
Yeah, it was literally it was great.
Crazy.
Give or take, it only lasted like a minute before it was completely gone, but it still lasted me to the next one.
Yeah, exactly. And then the next thing we had down was micronutrients, right?
Yeah.
So all right, cool. So like you said before, Coleman, like all foods are not created equal, and by any means they're not, right? So I feel like some people demonize select foods just because they think they're not diet foods, so they avoid them. And we see people do this with like things like whole eggs, right? Everyone is gravitating to egg whites. We see people like this by like avoiding like red meat, they go right to chicken. And like we look at like these because like And that's like pound for pound or gram for gram, like some of the most micronutrient dense food choices out there. But they'll typically take it away instantly when someone starts dieting because they think that's what they're supposed to do. And I've seen people like do egg whites, have egg whites for breakfast, and then have peanut butter
Egg whites
with
and
the meal.
spinach.
But also have peanut butter with the same meal. And I'm like, why wouldn't you just do a whole egg in that situation, right? You're at least
At
getting
that point,
all
it makes no sense.
yeah, you're getting the micronutrients from the egg. It's a better protein source with it in there because egg whites by themselves actually rob your body of biotin. One of the reasons why like you see some people, especially female competitors, who have nothing but egg whites in the morning, you see that their hair will start thinning throughout prep. And that's one of the big reasons behind it, not obviously beside the hormonal fluctuations that happen during prep and the external stress. But your body being robbed of biotin by just having strictly egg whites for that meal. So that's the big thing I think is that like people are kind of scared or kind of fall in the bro logic sometimes when it comes to using macros while dieting. So like they're do tilapia over any other protein source because like they want thin skin, right? So like they think that if I only do fish for my proteins, I'm gonna have thin skin. But I'm also gonna get like no B vitamins from the shitty ass tilapia that was farm raised and ate actually ate sewage for its meals because it's the bottom feeder.
Yeah, unless you're like getting it from like an organic place, and then you're paying an arm and a leg for it. And
yeah,
most bodybuilders don't have the most amount of money. Let's be
yeah,
real.
yeah.
We're
You're
spending our money on everything else. Like I'm sure you're not spending $27 a pound on tilapia
yeah,
when you can spend what is it, like $6.99 for chicken right now? Something like
yeah,
that.
or
Which
in
is still
reality, like
it's
just
still
the
high,
same
but
person is gonna buy like a 12 pack of frozen tilapia from the freezer section anyway for $15, right? Like that's what they're gonna end up doing.
yeah.
So I think that's one of the big issues is that people fall into what are diet foods and what are off season foods. And they kind of look at it that way. And that's where they kind of miss out on some micronutrients is doing that. And then obviously like we even say like especially because like when it comes to things like fiber, right? Is that there's so many other ways to hit your fiber goal. Now like you see that with most of my clients, everyone gets like very simple carbs. Like most of you are getting cream of rice, most of you are getting either a white potato or regular rice, or post workout you're getting like some type of like simple cereal. So like we're not striving for a select amount of like fixed fiber each day, but we're kind of getting that through each vegetable that we're getting throughout each day. But if you strictly just ate, for example, like what will be the best example? If I use those carb goals and I use fruit juices to get to those, like
Yeah,
for
you
my
get no fiber right there.
exactly. Other thing we're not going to get as well is, for example, we're surely going to get fructose, right? We're not going to get glucose. So like we're talking about the deviation of energy sources too. So like we talk about like most glucose-based sources are going to go directly to skeletal tissue, more so that than liver glycogen. And when you look at fructose is going more so to liver glycogen than it is skeletal glycogen. So like what do you want during contest prep, right? So
Skeletal.
during contest, exactly, because like you're running, jumping, climbing trees, right? Like yeah, like if your liver glycogen gets low, sleeping is more difficult. And that's also why you'll probably notice that all of you typically keep fruit in most of your prep. And it's just for
No.
fructose, not Coleman.
Yeah.
Breanna did.
I
I
had a
did.
banana for like a week during prep, and that was it.
Yeah.
That was
Well,
the best week
I always
ever.
had fruit.
yeah, Brie always had fruit. Pete, I know
For the most
Pete.
part, everyone. Yeah,
Yeah,
Pete had it the whole time.
yeah.
But
I
all
keep and
three,
it. Yeah, I
right?
keep fruit in strictly because liver glycogen, depleted liver glycogen. Your sleep quality is poor. Because like it's what your body uses to regulate things to stay homeostatic. So like that's the other thing too. Let's just imagine if someone strictly used um like fruit juices or did the opposite, strictly use things like glucose based and use rice for all the carbs. It wouldn't be necessarily a bad thing, but they wouldn't be again replenishing liver glycogen at the same rate if you did use fructose.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, and you can get fructose from like using honey and stuff like that too.
Exactly. Honey, organic maple syrup. all those fun things.
Yeah, so that kind of
Trigger
falls
free soda.
under problems like occurring when cutting out different types of foods.
Yeah. And like I get like I would say like for example we see this a lot going back to like the diet culture, right? Is
Mhm.
that I'm gonna remove the fatty higher things, right? So like I'm gonna make sure I only use fat-free dairy products, or I'm only going to like if I'm going to buy I'm going to buy eggs, I'm only going to buy egg whites, or I'm not going to buy steak, I'm only going to buy like ground chicken.
Mhm.
And there's like a time and place to cut out select macros, but not whole food groups in general. Like
Yeah, like,
I'm not saying someone's getting Wonder Bread during contest prep, or I'm putting sliced bread in anyone's plan. Um, but in reality, is that you don't need to cut out a whole food group to do anything.
Right.
yeah. I mean, you can use pretty much everything under the sun at the same point to like use it, but it has to obviously be manipulated the right way.
Right. And
Exactly.
foods like with nutrient
What you
dense
say?
food, not like nutrient dense food, not like
Oh yeah, like
anything.
Yeah.
well, I mean, technically you could
I
use anything, but it's not. You're not going to hit your optimal goals that you want to hit. I mean, if you're using Swedish fish as your carbs, like you're not.
Right.
No offense, like if you get shredded on Swedish fish, like that's good for you, but like
reaching
that
out.
ain't gonna last long. That's never gonna happen again.
So
That's a one-time thing.
You're scared.
so
I'm jealous.
So I like to. There was a really cool study. It was literally a corner store study. And this master's of dietetics, he in essence went to the corner store every single day, and he only ate foods that he can get from the corner store. Um, and he wasn't hitting macros; he was hitting a calorie goal each day. And so he drank things like soda and chips and Snickers and literally just things you get from the local corner store. And over the course of 3 months, he lost about over 25 pounds, and all his blood values got better. His cholesterol got better, his blood sugar got better, everything got better. Because the issue was metabolic dysfunction from him just having more body fat. Um, so I will say you can get very, very lean doing just calories in, versus calories out, because that's in essence what that was, right? Getting contest shape, a little different, right? You can manipulate things in a certain way though, because like I'll use again like it's about like drug usage as well. So like look at how Milos preps clients, right? Like the amount of dried fruit and fruit juice they're having per day is kind of immense. Like the average person would get diabetic strictly from the amount of simple sugar he's having each day. But since we're using things like Humalog to help partition glucose, it ends up with a net benefit, and aiding them in recovery from training and allowing them to stay extremely full during their prep. But like the average person is not going to work that way for.
Yeah, you're
But
talking about like the 0.01%.
yeah, well again, like you're using a drug, which drug's function is to shuttle nutrients
Exactly. So you're
but
using another source and another pathway
exactly.
to be able to do that. And
But
most people aren't going to be using that
no.
for the most part, at least.
Well, when it comes to cutting out food groups, like there isn't really a reason to, in my personal opinion. Like any of those diets that do that, more sort of are just fads, right? We look at like what keto does. In essence, like you're eliminating a whole entire food source, which is the primary energy source that your body uses for everything, to help your body drop weight off a scale at a faster rate, not burn fat at a faster rate. Just lose weight off a scale at a faster rate. Now, since you're eating more of a fat-based diet, yes, you're burning more fats per day because you're ingesting fat. Just like if you're eating mostly carbs, you mostly burn carbs as your fuel source. But neither here nor there. But yeah, there's no reason to cut out a whole entire food group at all. But I know one of the next things was people comparing meal plans among competitors, and I know for a fact, like my clients who know each other definitely do this, is because like it's just to see what
100%.
person's eating now, and because like there is some type of like joy knowing that you're eating more than someone else. So I imagine both of you guys do that.
Well,
Yeah, I think
he's
she's
more
jealous
like,
that my
haha, I get
oh,
whatever.
it's
And I'm like, okay, I'm a tiny person.
rest rest day, 1,000 grams of rice a day.
Yeah.
It's not that
You're
bad.
making fun of my 100 grams of rice per meal on my rest days.
Oh, dude, that is so pitiful.
It's so cute. Love it.
It's dainty.
Yeah.
It is so
Hungry.
pitiful. It's I have 250 grams and like I'm starving. And like I cannot
That's my
imagine.
medium day.
Actually,
Water.
I could imagine. I've been there before and it was terrible.
Mhm.
But like, I mean, once we get healthy, obviously, and get more into my strides of things, I'm sure my food's gonna get to the point where I hate eating, but I never ran into that issue yet.
No.
Besides Greek yogurt. That one
Okay.
got old real quick. And it wasn't because it was expired.
Good.
I'm clearing that. I'm clear there on that. It wasn't because
It was fine
expired.
when it was
I just,
expired, but when it's actually good, it's terrible.
Yeah, it needs it more moldy.
Just
Got it.
doesn't
Big blue cheese.
yeah, I mean, it's got a little bit more spice to it.
A little bit more spice.
A little more kick.
But yeah, I feel like a lot of people do this and it kind of hinders their own progress because they're so focused on what other people are doing, and everybody is vastly different, and even depending on what division they're in, that it hinders them because they're so focused on everybody else.
Yeah, I literally had people like, hey, like my friend's eating this much food, is my coach doing the wrong thing? And
Yeah.
I'm like, well, if your coach probably has you eating this much food, there's probably a reason.
Mhm.
And
Probably have like the metabolic requirements for it. Like,
yeah, and then the other thing is too, like, all right, cool, you're comparing yourself to a friend that's at a different point of their prep journey than you, possibly has been training much longer than you, maybe has more muscle tissue than you, or just a larger person than you, or good again, have more physical daily activity, so the requirements higher than yours. But when you get so focused on what someone else is doing, you sometimes almost like second guess what you're doing yourselves.
Mhm.
And I always just say this, like the best people at our sport are those who don't overthink things. And the more you overthink things, the harder everything becomes, especially when it comes to following a plan. Because then you feel like the plan's not right anymore.
Mhm.
Even though the
Mhm.
plan is probably right, and if you kept doing it, you're still going to make progress. But you start second guessing the plan just because you think you deserve something different because someone else has something different.
Mhm.
yeah, it's where I mean, I struggle with that for a little bit.
Mhm.
I mean, I kind of shot myself in the foot with my own big cat with Big Cat. I told you to fill me out early and shot myself in the foot on that one. I learned my lesson to shut up and be an athlete.
Hey man, it happens, man. It
Yeah,
happens.
no, you got to learn your lesson eventually. I mean, there's everyone's got to learn at some point. I mean, but
Mhm.
at the same point, like if you have so much knowledge, like, and I'm obviously mentoring underneath you, so I'm learning every day, anyways. So it's more of like I learned so much, and then it's like, okay, I see this. This is what I see. This is what you see. Let's go back and forth, and it's like, no, I just gotta shut up and be an athlete.
And that's what it is. Like I'll do that. I'll say like Ronnie Coleman,
It's
for example. Like I, he was a smart guy when it came to book smarts. I don't think he really knew what he was doing when it came to nutrition, right? So like when it came to him working with Chad Nichols, like I'm sure he didn't second guess a single thing. He was like, all right, cool, let's go. And that's probably how it was. And like again, like I look at some of like the more intellectual bodybuilders, like John Meadows was never a great bodybuilder. Chris Aceto was never a great bodybuilder. Um, Even like Charles Glass wasn't a great bodybuilder. I feel like the more you overthink things, the more challenging everything becomes.
Mhm.
Kind of like anyone overthink with anything else in life. It becomes
yeah,
harder to stay steady to a plan because you overthink everything, um, compared to kind of just being patient.
Mhm.
So I think that's the biggest deterrent when it comes to the shit like that. I remember like me and Bruce both had the same coach, and I'd be like, "Why the fuck do you get so much more food than me all the time?"
Mhm.
But again, like I just fucking ran with it. But there was no, it didn't help me at all knowing that Bruce had more food than me.
learning curve. Eventually, everyone learns, and everyone's body's different, and you have to use things at different rates with certain people. Like you filling me out this year was total. Every time it's been totally different.
Yeah.
Like vastly different. Like from like the most simple ways to doing it to eating in and out every single meal.
Yeah.
Most disgusting thing I've ever done.
And the thing is, like, when it came to you're a much bigger person than what you were when you first started,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, a lot. It was
You're much smaller than being.
176 when I started with you, I think.
Yeah.
And now I haven't trained in 22 days, and I'm sitting at like 208 and like doing nothing.
No.
I do. I walk for 30 minutes every morning because that's all I can do, and then I walk in circles all day.
Yeah.
And I just maintaining at 208, doing nothing but eating 7 times a day and walking in circles.
Hey, it could be worse, man. It could be worse.
Yes, very true.
Yeah.
Could be hospital food.
It could be hospital food.
Oh, well.
We're not gonna even get into that.
We're not talking about the 1,200 calories that they were trying to feed me a day.
Yeah, no.
And yeah,
You were in the geriatric wing, though.
Yes.
I was in the geriatric wing, and that was, dude, that was probably the best sauna I've ever been in my entire life.
You complained the whole time.
Dude, I wish I was on the other side and I had the air conditioner next to me. I would sweat through my clothes like twice a night.
Yeah, I bet.
I would have to get up and change in the middle of the night because I sweat through one thing.
That's gross.
Oh, it was totally gross. I mean, I definitely lost all the water weight right there. Any water weight I had was gone.
So
Back on topic.
let's talk about what needs to be measured cooked versus raw, because some people, or should we get into that?
Yeah, so like I think like the common things are going to be like a lot of like the unprocessed carbs, right? Like things like cream of rice, right? Like it's so drastically distorted when measured like you really can't measure it cooked. And also like the macronutrients on the back of the thing are based off the dry. Just much easier to measure that dry. I would never attempt to try to measure that backwards. I don't even know how you would do that.
Yeah, because then you have to figure out how much water you're actually putting in and stuff like that, and like
how much cooked off. Yeah, no, I'm not doing that. So like the macronutrients on the box are in dry, so you're gonna do that in dry.
But don't eat it.
Yeah, don't eat dry. I
don't eat it dry.
Yeah.
Please put water in it. Please use water.
Oatmeal, same exact thing. The macronutrients on the back of the box are off dry measurements. I do that based off dry measurements. Again, same thing. The weight's so drastically distorted after it's cooked that I don't know how you'd even attempt to find out what the original dry measurement was. Potatoes, those are ones that I have people weigh post cooked unless they're air fried. Just because the amount of water you lose when you air fry potato is insane. You have like 8 ounces of potato and you air fry it, it comes out to being like 3 ounces. So you're gonna eat like double, triple what you're supposed to eat. So like beside air frying it, I just weigh it post cooked. Rice, same exact thing. Like especially because like how you meal prep rice, that weighing it dry in my mind is kind of adding too many steps for no reason. 100 grams of cooked rice is between 24 and 26 grams of carbs. So multiply that by how many grams of carbs you need to kind of figure it out. Everything else, I have everyone weigh post-cooked. All proteins being weighed post-cooked. Egg whites are pre-cooked too. Sorry, I put that in there because who was it? Was it Connor? Connor was weighing the post-cooked?
Connor told me that he was like, I wish I could find the actual text on my phone.
Grams.
He's like, oh yeah, I get like an extra 50 grams. Like it cooks like 50 grams down. Like, so you gotta weigh it at, like you gotta cook it after. And I was like, no, dude, that's not right. Like, I was like, I'll text Mark right now. I was like, if you've been doing this your whole prep, like you've been having a lot more protein than you think you've been having, man.
Yeah. Wait. Hey.
He's like, I've been doing it for a little bit. And I was like, how long is a little bit?
Yeah.
never told me how long, but like I was like, dude, that doesn't make sense. And I just texted you,
Hey,
and
you
you're
get an
like,
extra 5 grams of
and
protein.
your answer was matter can't be created nor destroyed. And I just sent it back to him, and he was like, oh, I'll weigh it raw. It
Yeah.
was funny. That was funny one.
Oh jeez. But yeah, no, that's kind of how I look at it. Like, and like when it comes to, I think the only other thing I have people weigh, because I don't do a weight with it. Gluten-free pasta, I have them do cups, a volume,
Cups, yeah.
cups post
It's written
cooked.
in yeah, it's written
Uh,
in cups on the box too.
yeah, but that's pre-cooked too. It's quarter cup pre-cooked, is what it says on the box.
Oh yeah.
Um, but I have them do a cup post cooked. But beside that, everything else is post cooked, and there's just a few things pre cooked. So oats, cream of rice, egg whites.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's simple stuff. Nothing crazy. I mean, you can do your vegetables raw or
yeah, because the weight distortion is not too crazy.
no. I mean, the weight distortion is probably what, like 2 grams,
Yeah,
give or
unless you
take.
air fry it. Again, the only
Yeah,
variable is
and when you air fry it, you're just pulling out water. So at
yeah,
that point, it's just dehydrating everything.
yeah. So in those cases, you're gonna air fry it. Your veggies, I guess, is do it pre cooked.
Yeah, and like air frying your meats too. You're pulling out water too, depending on how long you do it for. If
Yeah,
you do it like over excessively, like okay, like maybe you probably shouldn't be doing that to begin with. But if you're doing it like properly, I don't see why.
yeah, because I air fry my chicken. And like I don't, it's not my, I don't, I'm not like burning it. So like
Yeah,
it's
I'm
almost
talking about
cooked.
people trying to make it like fried chicken
Yeah,
when it
no,
can't be. When it can't be.
yeah, no. You know, that's a little different, I guess. But no, I still do my chicken post cooked, but my chicken's still pretty moist when it's out of the thing. I think, yeah, I guess it depends like how much you cook it down, I guess.
True, true.
Yeah. If you cook it down from like this to like that, it's gonna be a lot different.
Well, not
Yeah, especially if you do like a red meat, like a steak or something in that.
Yeah, a steak would definitely shrink very fast.
So is this last question what I think it is? If there was one meal you could eat for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, it's a serious question.
it's a serious
Dan,
one. It had
Dan,
to go in the
Dan,
serious
te-
pile.
Dan texted it to me. I asked Dan. I was like,
Yeah,
Dan, can
damn.
you give me like? I was like, Dan, give me a couple questions. And like that was like the only like really good. I mean, he gave me another good one, but
Yeah,
where
So
he
there
told
I
me
were
it
actually
there were
wasn't
some
good.
good ones, but this went with the theme.
so my post workout meal is actually my favorite meal. It is 170 grams of fat free Greek yogurt, 1 scoop of whey, 75 grams of granola, 100 grams of berries, and 10 grams of honey.
Hmm.
It's like a parfait for me. I fucking love it.
I'm trying to think of
Dude,
what
this is
mine would
hard.
be
This
because
is
it would
hard
either be
because I
my
get a lot of
first,
food.
it would either be my first meal, which is my breakfast that I make into pancakes now. So I literally put everything in a blender and then make them
Yeah,
into pancakes and then just put my fruit on top. I've been
there
doing
you
that.
go.
And or my Rice Krispies.
This is a hard one. I make a pretty nice
Yeah, you make a
like
loaf.
kind of banana. It's like a banana bread type thing in the morning. But if I'm gonna go back to like off season last year, probably my 8 cups of Rice Krispie cereal every day. I think it was like no, I think it was like 6. I don't know. It was something ridiculous with honey and dried fruit. That was pretty good too.
Yeah,
Or
did you know he doesn't like raisins, by the way?
what?
Did you know Coleman doesn't like raisins?
Yeah,
Of
I
course
only
he
like
doesn't.
cinnamon. I like cinnamon raisin English muffins. That's it. That's the extent of it.
That
No
doesn't make
actual
any
raisins.
sense. Well, he doesn't like blueberries.
It
I know
doesn't make.
that.
Oh yeah, blueberries can't
I
do.
don't like a
No
lot
can
of
do
them.
for that one. I don't know. That's a hard one. Or no, cream of rice. I'm gonna go with cream of rice. When I had just 135 grams of cream of rice in the morning, with 20 grams of honey, and then I would do like my eggs. I would just make like an omelet out of it. So I had both things. That was pretty good. Before I started making it into a bake.
Loaf.
Big
Yeah.
love.
Have you
Well,
made
at
anything
first
donut
it's
yet?
no, I didn't get there yet. I feel like it's gonna take me too long.
Yes.
I feel like that's like a Saturday morning thing. Like I do
I'm
my
curious how
check-in.
many donuts it would make.
Oh my gosh,
Oh,
I know. I tried it that one time when I sent you the
it's
picture. I have to do it again.
I
It's
did it the way that Bree did does her thing this morning with like pancakes, and I made like 9 pancakes, like 9 full
I
size
made you
pancakes out of my food. I made 9 this morning.
like little ones.
No, they were
And I
full
made you like
size.
3 giant ones. They were like this big.
Yeah, no, I made 9 full size ones this morning. I was
I
like,
mean,
wow. I
Like
was like, my
10.
I was like, damn, this is on a rest day too. I was like, I can only imagine if I had another 20 grams of cream of rice for a normal day. I was like, it's gonna probably make another 2 more.
Yeah, I make like
It was
3 big ones.
it was
so
pretty good.
are you cooking? Are you cooking the cream of rice a little bit first and then blending it?
Nope.
I should though.
And there's a raw
That's gonna make
flavor.
it
Yeah. You
Yeah,
cook the cream of rice a little bit,
cook it a
and
little
then you
bit.
blend it. Yeah, a
Yeah,
little bit.
I don't do that before I put it in the oven. I just put it all raw
yeah,
into the
just
oven.
blend it, and then like a little bit of baking powder, and then just dump it. But you're right; it would probably taste better.
I think it'd be a little more, a little thicker.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, because it all sinks to the bottom.
Yeah,
The thing, you have to, like scoop it out. Yeah.
I'm gonna try that. Not tomorrow though.
No, probably not tomorrow.
On the weekend, I'll do it. I'm not doing the weekdays.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll test my hypothesis of how many donuts I can make out
Oh,
of my meal one.
yeah. You need to do that on a
I feel like
weekend. That's gonna be a
I feel like
long.
it's gonna take me like an hour to do them all.
I'm probably gonna have to
You think it's more than
Yeah,
6?
do
it's
it.
more than 6, dude. Did you see how tiny those things are? Did you open
No,
it?
I didn't.
They're
No, I
like
didn't
this
know.
Oh, dude,
big.
they're
Oh
literally
yeah,
this
yeah. I
tiny. I
sent
was
you.
like,
I think I have a picture.
Oh yeah, you didn't
it's
send a picture.
tiny. It's tiny. They're not like Krispy Kreme donuts or like the what was it, Voodoo that we went to in Houston for Peter.
Mm-hmm.
They're not like that. They're not like that size. If it was like that size type of making it, it would definitely go pretty well. Now, another question Dan asked was, what animal would you be and why? Bree told me it wasn't good enough to be on the podcast. I feel
I
like it's
did
a pretty
not.
good
Those were
question.
not my words. Sorry, Dan. They were not my words. The other question just went along with the theme.
I don't know,
Never
man.
interview questions.
I would want
I
thumbs.
What?
want thumbs.
I would want thumbs. So I feel like I have to
Want
be like a
thumbs?
koala or something.
A koala.
Yeah, koala get high all day. I'm a koala. They
Here's
eat
another
eucalyptus.
question.
I feel like you guys. I feel like we should pick each other's animal.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay, shoot.
shoot. Go.
I
You
go
do it.
first.
Yeah, do both.
This is hard. I don't know.
I'm saying Bree's a meerkat.
That's what. Wait, now I have to find this.
You know what a
Because
meerkat is, Bree?
yes, I know what it is. They
I'm Lion King.
yeah, I know what a meerkat.
I'm just double checking. Yeah, I can see it.
I have to find this video now. I forget what it was called, but yeah, it looked like a meerkat type bear thing. Mark, I don't know. I think you'd be like a monkey.
Yeah. Okay. I accept that. They have thumbs.
Yeah, they have thumbs. So
There you go.
okay, what would
I'd
Coleman
say like
say?
a sloth or I'd say like a sloth or a tortoise for Mark. Just relaxing all day, doing not
Yeah.
as much as busy as you are, but like for like how relaxed you are in that aspect, not
Yeah.
super stressed out.
We
Tortoises
try-
probably get high all day too.
Yeah, I'm sure they do. They
I
attack.
would imagine.
They attack us.
Sloths 110%.
Oh yeah. We didn't pick Coleman's one yet.
Oh god.
I don't know. Mark, what do you think?
I'm saying a platypus.
That's
good
actually
because you
funny
like
you said
Phineas
that.
and Ferb.
Yes, because they're getting re-aired for 40 more episodes of Phineas and Ferb, and I literally said that the other day. And that was actually, I think that was like one of the first things I said when I got to Bree's house the other night. I saw it as I was driving, or I heard it, and I was like, "Oh no, we were in the supermarket," and I was like, "Oh yeah, they just announced that Phineas and Ferb's getting 40 more episodes."
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck that is.
Phineas and Ferb, like the cartoon.
Now we're like showing our age.
Dude, you gotta get Disney Plus. It's worth it.
Oh, I have Disney Plus.
Oh, then yeah, watch Phineas and Ferb on it. It's great.
Okay, so I had some fitness confessions. Coleman, you want to read them?
You want me to read them?
Yeah,
To
you
be
read
clear,
them.
they're not actually Bree's fitness confessions. These are
Yeah,
These are not.
actually,
These
I
are
wrote
these
all
are
of them. No,
yeah.
these are submitted by people. Smelling like morning sex during a workout, and then you had to insert the thing. It's like a chef's kiss emoji. That's interesting.
Maybe I feel like
to
I
say
should
the
cut
least.
that out.
Well, we said we were gonna end the episode with something funny every
I
time. So
know.
Yeah.
You're right.
yeah.
Oh. Is that protein farts hit differently?
Yeah.
That's true.
I mean, do they?
Yeah, 110%.
Like you really?
110%.
Well, Bree, you should know from first-hand experience. I've literally farted almost on you when we did legs.
Multiple times.
Yes.
But like, explain what hitting differently is in this.
Oh, like the stench that
The
comes from
waft.
it.
The initial
okay.
waft.
I didn't know if
The
it was
fragrance.
like
The fragrance.
the fragrance. Okay.
There's
I didn't know if
a
they were like
distinct difference.
like they
You
were
can tell
just
when someone has more protein in their diet versus not. Just from that, like there's like a specific like smell to it.
I had to clarify.
Or they're drinking their egg whites, one or the other.
Yeah, that too.
And then this one's I do the Stairmaster just to people watch.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you.
I do.
I wish I could do that. I had to stare at a black wall the whole time I did it.
You watched?
Well, I'm sorry. That's the gym you go to does.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have you guys ostracized in the corner.
Well, yeah, now we're ostracized in the corner. Before there was a TV in front of me. Sometimes the TV would be on, so it'd be pretty entertaining. In the mornings the TV was on, so I was fine. At night the TV wasn't on. So
No, the Stairmaster is supposed to be in the back of the gym, so high that you can see everything going on.
Right.
So you can people watch. That's the purpose of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can shame other people while hating your own life.
And you're just like, I want to fix your form.
I only hated it. I only hated it probably when you had me doing 2 hours of it at one point. Not my first prep. It was my first prep. I was doing 2 hours of it.
Yeah.
But like the first hour was easy. And then the second hour after training was like the worst thing ever.
Yeah, no, it's hell.
Yeah, no, that was not fun. Staring at a brick wall for an hour. I got pretty good at counting bricks. Counting the same bricks every single time.
Right, this last one was I have small calves.
I'm sorry, me too.
Same.
Can't relate.
We can't all be Coleman.
Relate.
We all can't be Coleman.
I am blessed in one area, and it's just my calves.
Just the calves.
I mean,
just the calves.
That's probably like, or at least reasonably my strongest point.
Yeah, no, I'd put that. You definitely have
reasonably my strongest point.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like if you almost had smaller calves, your hamstring would look bigger.
My hamstring drop would look 10 times better.
Yeah.
And I could probably actually squat a lot deeper.
Yeah, it's potato.
No, I hit my calves pretty fast, and it's like I know I could get a little bit deeper. So I try and go deeper. And then at that point I just get too deep and then I'm stuck.
I fall and I can't get up.
Happens. Anything else anybody wants to add? Mark, did you get any good? You didn't get any other good questions, did you?
I did not get any other good questions. No, did not. They were all trolls. But to bring this to a halt, the sweatshirt Coleman does have on, you can show the sweatshirt. That currently actually is for sale on the Swift shop. Turn around quick, Coleman. The back is Be Kind. This is actually all the proceeds for this is actually going to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Right now, they're available in 5 different colors on the Swift shop. We'll post the link in the bio below. But again, it's about $90 for the shirt. All the proceeds go to that. And there will be a link to donate on the website soon for those who don't actually want a hoodie, but for those who just want to donate.
All right. So thank you everybody for watching. If you have any questions, you can always DM either one of us or comment if you're watching on YouTube. And there should be a question box also on Spotify as well. So thank you very much.